it's safe now. Do not use that hiking path in the springtime. Because the springtime, the bears are actively hunting coming out of hibernation, and you do not want to be on that path. But in the summertime, after the salmon come back, now it's safe. What people use that hiking path for is hunters that are going up to hunt the Dall sheep. It goes all the way to the top of the mountain. Because you have to climb up there to get the Dall sheep.
Now, how long, like, let's say we wanted to go hiking, I'm not going hiking, but let's say someone wants to go hiking, how long does it take day-wise? Or you could do it all in one?
Oh yeah, you can do it all in a day. But like for you, if I was going to suggest for you to go to a hike, I would hike Flat Top Mountain. That is the most popular hike in Anchorage. And there's a park with a bunch of other people around.
No hiking sounds great, the bears make me a little nervous.
No, yeah, but be around, here's the other thing, be around other people. That's the whole key, be around other people. If you're all by yourself in an area. So there's 3 scenarios about bears that you want to know about. Everybody knows the first one, mom with cubs, right? Everybody knows that. The second one is what I told you, springtime in Alaska, when a bear comes out of hibernation, it'll kill a moose. It cannot eat the whole moose all at once. It'll eat on it for 10 days to 2 weeks because it's still early in the spring and it's cold enough the moose is not going to spoil. Now the third one is one you wouldn't even think about. It's actually hunters that are hunting bear. So a brown bear tag in Alaska costs $5,000. But that is not the most expensive part of the hunt. It's mandatory that you have an Alaskan guide with you. That guide charges anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000. And he's not there to shoot the bear for you, but he's there for this one scenario. You shoot a bear. You do not kill the bear. I told you earlier, brown bears and grizzly bears have the strongest sense of smell of any animal on the planet. That bear knows one thing. You tried to hurt me. I know what you smell like. That bear's going to run away. What it's going to do is going to circle back around and stalk you and hunt you and kill you. Wow. So that guide is there for that one scenario because now you're panicking and that guide is going to be calm and knows that that bear always runs away from you and it circles back around and it starts stalking you. That's what happens. 100% of the time that happens. If you don't kill the bear's going to try to get you.
So the bear knows you got a weapon. They be looking at it like, hey.
Everybody thinks they're safe with a gun, but a lot of people have guns, but they don't know how to properly use the guns. So the worst thing to do is be here and not be a good shot. Just injure a bear, and basically what you did is piss it off. And that bear knows what you smell like. You can smell a prey species up to 20 miles away. It definitely knows what you smell like, and now it'll start stalking you.
Oh yeah.
And I tell people, you could have JB at 1,000 pounds on one side of the fence, a 4-year-old child that weighs less than 40 pounds on the other side of the fence. That 4-year-old child that's 40 pounds makes more noise than a 1,000-pound bear in the bushes because they have these padded feet and they're stealthy. They're basically silent in the bushes.
Bears is very smart.
Very smart. And we do not eat brown bear or grizzly bear. When people hunt them, they only hunt them for the fur. We do eat black bear. Black bear are delicious. But brown bear and grizzly bear, they're too sinewy. They're all muscle, and they don't taste good at all.
It's like you eat bear, like how you eat chicken and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Wow, it's interesting.
Oh yeah.
People in Florida eat alligator. I heard people in Florida eat alligator, crocodile.
But I tell people if it wasn't for moose, caribou, halibut, and salmon, those are the 4 food groups for an Alaskan, I would never have been able to raise 5 hungry boys and a hungrier daughter.
Sometimes I saw a video, sometimes bears are scared of dogs, sometimes.
Oh, a bear will kill a dog. I mean, a black bear can climb a tree, but a brown bear or grizzly bear, it'll get a dog. They think of the dog as a wolf. And if it's one dog, they'll kill it. If it's a pack of dogs, like a pack of wolves, it can still take out a few, but the wolves could take over. You know, usually when that happens is the bear already has a kill, and then the wolves want to come in and feed on the bear's kill, because he already has it done. And he's already full because he can't eat that much. I mean, he can eat 20 to 30 pounds in a sitting, but then he takes a nap. It's called a state of hyperphagia. What hyperphagia is basically overeating. They want to eat as much as possible. Usually it starts at the end of August before they start their hibernation. So JB, by the time he goes into hibernation, will put on 20% of his body weight. He'll get up to 1,200 pounds. His belly will be dragging on the ground. In the summertime, they only eat about 2 to 3 pounds of food, specialized diet. But then in getting towards hibernation, which is December through the middle of April, I would say they come out on tax day. Even the bears have to pay taxes. Is that it's temperature that gets them out of hibernation. If it's above 30 degrees for multiple days in a row, it's too hot for them to be in their den. You think about it, they got all that winter weight, fur coat. They're like, it's too warm. And when they're in their den, they do not eat and they don't use the restroom. So what they do is they recirculate their urine. So when they come out of hibernation, they'll take their first pee, just like we do in the morning. Everybody does it. And what that pee will tell the bears in the area, if there's another dominant male bear, or if there's a receptive female bear in the area. Because remember, the bears have this strong sense of smell, so they'll know who's in their neighborhood. Who do I have to see? People see JB now and they say, well, he's so big now, why didn't you just release him into the wild? I said, there's one problem about that. It's what I told you in the very beginning. JB, yes, could probably find some food, know how to catch something. But what would happen to him in the springtime, he would come out of hibernation, there would be another dominant bear that's about the same size as him. And what they do is they test each other, and he'll find out within the first 30 seconds that JB doesn't know how to fight. And guess what that bear will do to him? He will kill him. For 2 reasons. JB's taking food and females away from him. You'll find out if you can't fight, you're a sitting duck.
Bears are like thugs. They bullies.
I don't see cows over here.
We have some about in the Matsu Valley, about an hour away. But yeah, not a lot of cows in Alaska. We have a few cows and a few horses, but not a lot, because our temperature, we have a little short summer, but a long, cold winter. It's not really beneficial. And the price of hay, a bale of hay, you know, those big circular bales of hay, before COVID, that bale of hay was $300 bucks. After COVID, that same bale of hay was $1,800.
Woo.
So you can't afford it. I mean, it's not beneficial. The cow, you're spending more on hay than you are on the cow if you go to the grocery store and buy it.
That means that the state house is very expensive.
Yes. One thing about Anchorage, Anchorage's moniker is we're the city of lights, but Anchorage is also considered the most tax-friendly city in the United States. The prices that you see is the prices that you get. That's it. We don't have a local tax, we don't have state tax. There's other cities in Alaska that have a localized tax, but Anchorage is not one of them. They try to keep voting it in, and we keep voting no. Why would anybody want? They say, oh, we're only going to have it for temporary, but that's never true. I've lived all over the place. Once they get it in, they keep it no matter what. What everybody's so amazed by, they see this big body of water out here, they're like, man, I can't believe there's no boats out here. Like I said, the water's too shallow and the current is too strong. All right, you guys see this mountain in front of us over here on the left-hand side? That is called Mount Susitna. It has another famous name. It's called Sleeping Lady. So there's clouds on the top, but the very far left is her hair. The left side is her head. That little notch is her neck. The middle part is her body. The right part is her legs, like she's laying down. And at the base of that mountain is 2 popular salmon spawning streams. One is called the Big Susitna, the other is called the Little Susitna. Okay, this is the area that I told you. Look where the tide was. Remember the tide was all the way up to the edge here? Look how far the tide has gone out.
Wow.
So that out there, that is pure quicksand. Pure quicksand. And unfortunately, you being from Chicago, there's a little town across the water, a little town called Hope, Alaska. We had a 21-year-old young man from Chicago that got stuck in the mud out by Hope, Alaska. With his family, they called the fire department and the police, all showed up. They were unable, this happened in May, unable to get him out of that mud, and then that tide comes in.
Oh boy, oh my.
And the whole problem with usually males 18 to 24, remember I had a bunch of them, that they think they're bulletproof. Oh, this doesn't pertain to me. Well, I can do it. No, you can't. And then mom got panicked. She called the police, called the fire department. They showed up and they tried. The only way to get them out is basically take a fire hose. They put plywood on the mud flats and they have to use a fire hose to try to break the suction. But that glacial silt is so strong, it holds you like concrete. You can't get out. And then what happens is slowly but surely, that water, you will drown. And that water is 45 degrees.
That's cold.
Yeah, it's terrible. But unfortunately, that happens every single year. So one of the main things that I tell about my tour is about that. Okay, so in here, we're going to be on the lookout for a mom and a dad trumpeter swan. Right here, right here, right here.
I see it, I see it.
And the babies to the right.
Oh,
so here's
cute.
The thing about trumpeter swans. When you see them, they'll always be a pair together. The reason why? Because when a trumpeter swan finds a mate, they will mate for life, and they're always together. You'll never see one solo, because if something ever happens to their mate, they'll move on, and that's it. So the other thing about trumpeter swans, remember I told you what all the other birds are? A group of trumpeter swans, if there was young people out here, they would really like this, is called a wedgie. So the other birds that live out here are seagulls and Arctic terns. Most people think seagulls, a group of seagulls is called a flock. That is incorrect. A group of seagulls or a group of Arctic terns is called the exact same thing. It's called a colony. They colonize the area. So if you look up when someone says it's a flock of seagulls, you can say, no, it's a colony of seagulls. But we've had so much misinformation. People say it's a flock of seagulls. That is incorrect. It's called a colony of seagulls. Yeah, they're birder people like that guy right there. They come from all over the world. And you can tell every foot on your camera's lens, add another $10,000. So when it gets progressively bigger, you got a camera that's 5 feet long, and that camera's minimum of 50 grand. So you see these people with these HD, you know, when we had National Geographic and Discovery Channel down there, my wife goes, how much is your camera? And he said it's probably as expensive as your home is, which was, it wasn't too far off. I'm going to tell you guys how downtown is set up. A Street divides the town east and west. West is water, so going west it's A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I. There is no J, by the way. K, L Street is the last street before you get to the water. But going east, it's names of cities in Alaska, still in alphabetical order, starting B, Barrow, C, Cordova, D, Denali, Eagle, Fairbanks, Gamble, Hyder, Ingra, Juneau, Carlin, Latouche. And I told you in the very beginning, Anchorage started at Ship Creek. First Avenue, the first building built in Anchorage was the rail depot at Ship Creek. That's why First Avenue is there. You guys see this hole in the wall right here? This happened in May. We saw it happen. There was a mom, a moose, with 2 calves. A brown bear ran right through that wall and grabbed one of her calves. That's only a 1/4 inch thick piece of plywood. And when he ran through that wall, it made an outline of his body, a 1,000-pound animal traveling at 35 miles an hour. It made a big explosion, but it was a perfect outline of his body. And so they can smell. They know there's moose over there. And he goes, oh, that wood, I'll run right through that wall. That ain't nothing. And it's happened multiple times, but it happened right when we were driving by. And some people were mortified and other people are like, here, the bears have to eat. If they're not eating the moose calves, they'll start getting into garbage. And the problem that we have in Alaska, if a bear gets into garbage, we consider that a dead bear. Because that's all it's going to want to eat, is the garbage. So we have to keep our garbage secured. There's a big fine, and the fine gets progressively higher and higher. To eventually, they won't pick up your garbage anymore. So the first fine is like $100 bucks, and it goes like to $250, $500, $1,000, $5,000, and then there's no more garbage. So what they have to do is take your garbage to the transfer site. They're not even going to pick up your garbage anymore. That means you're an irresponsible homeowner. But we have bear-proof garbage cans. And how they get them bear-proof, they'll fill them full of scraps, meat, this and that, and they'll take them to the zoo. And the bears get to jump on them and see if they can break them open, then it's not good enough. But the other ones, and you have to make sure your garbage is secure. Especially the people on Hillside. So that's a cop right there, and that guy was doing about 90. That guy, that cop already made a phone call, and this guy's going to get pulled over in the next 5 minutes. Easy.
Big. How much is the ticket out here?
It's all about how fast you're going. That ticket right there, going 90 and a 65, is probably about a $300 to $400 ticket.
It's large.
Yep, and if it's in a work zone, it's double. So this could be a work zone. It'll be a double fine. Yep, he saw the cop too. He's trying to avoid it. They'll tell the make and model of the car, and then they can figure it out real quick. If there's 20 cars coming in, that's the only one that's make and model, guess what? You're it. If there was 2 cars that had it, you know, maybe one guy would get off, but that was one guy, and the odds are the same color, same make, same model. I mean, he would have an idea. Yeah, they'll call ahead.
Must be a lot of speeders out here. That's why a lot of highway patrols.
There is, especially on the weekends. People get impatient.
It's like that all 50 states.
There's something I want to point out. Look at my 1 o'clock. See this mound over here? It looks like a mound of dirt. It's not. That's snow. Look really close when you drive by. You're going to notice the snow underneath it. So when we get over 4 inches of snow, you can see the snow underneath the dirt there. See the snow? When we get over 4 inches of snow, we don't just plow the snow because we do not put salt on our roads in Alaska. We have to remove the snow. If you just kept plowing it, the roads would get narrower and narrower. Pretty soon you wouldn't even have a road light. So you have to plow it, remove it, and then they put it in snow dumps. Well, we put sand and gravel on top of our snow for added traction. So they have those snow dumps, and they wait for all that snow to melt, and all their sand and gravel is in one spot, you know, in different parts of town. They have a machine that'll collect that, clean it, and put that same sand and gravel on the road the next year. So they reuse it, recycle it. Yep, smart. Okay, this road right here, this is Tudor Road. This divides the town north and south of Tudor. North of Tudor or south of Tudor. This road goes all the way from the water all the way to the mountains. This patch right here was the biggest sinkhole when we had that 2018 earthquake. It took these 2 lanes of road, 30 feet by 50 feet and 5 feet deep. This is the end of the patch right here. You have to remember, it happened November 30th, 2018. It was the middle of winter. The ground was frozen. They initially put a Band-Aid over it. Then they started working it on the next year. They did not finish the project, and then COVID happened, and then it didn't get finished till last year.
COVID stopped a lot of things. Sure did.
Yeah, that year, after that big earthquake, you know, we're called the City of Lights, but that spring we should have been called the City of Potholes. There was potholes that were, you know, swallowing vehicles. So many flat tires, so many terrible stuff. Oh, it was bad.
Ay, ay, ay.
And the one thing Anchorage has that you guys might notice downtown, did you guys notice all the hanging flower baskets downtown? How pretty the flowers were?
We saw some guy watering them today.
Yep. So we have more hanging flower baskets than any other city in the United States. The number 2 city is New Orleans. And it's only from May 15th through September 15th. We spend over $1 million on flowers for you guys that are here. Is our 20 hours of daylight. It makes perfect. People have hanging flowers. You might think, oh, we only have 100 days of summer. So it's short summer season to grow vegetables. I'm going to tell you some world records that Alaska has. The world's largest carrot was grown in Alaska, 48 pounds. World's largest cabbage, 135 pounds. And the world's largest pumpkin, over 2,000 pounds. That pumpkin was growing up to 20 pounds a day. The Dinkel family grew that pumpkin. And so the pumpkin and the cabbage weigh-off is at our state fair in the beginning of September, Labor Day. And that's a big thing for us. So that family was competing with another family. They were able to sell seeds out of that world record pumpkin for $80 a seed. And the minimum that you had to buy was 5. So $400 for 5 pumpkins. So I have a brother that lives in Iowa. He's 2 years older than me. He has a small little farm, and he has a competition with his neighbors. Well, there's the cop right there. They got the guy.
You knew that's gonna happen. You knew it.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna happen. Yeah, he got him. He pulled him over. So here's the deal. My brother in Iowa grew a 1,200-pound pumpkin. I did not pay the $400. My brother gave me the money. And he goes, the average pumpkins in their area were 50 to 60-pound pumpkin. That was a big pumpkin. And he goes, a 1,200-pound pumpkin. And his brothers are like, or his friends, other farmers, were like, what happened? What'd you do? And he goes, oh, I don't know. You know, I just got the, got the green thumb. But when I told him about it, he goes, I want those seeds. I want some seeds. I was like, okay, well, I'm not buying them for you. If you want them, send me some money. I'll send them to you. And the reason why they send 5 seeds minimum is because not all seeds will germinate. So you out of 5, you might get 1 or 2 pumpkins that'll actually take root and plant. If you just had 1 seed, it's a lot of money for nothing. Plant it in the ground, nothing happens. And the thing about the world record pumpkin, the pumpkin cannot have a crack in it. And they have to use a forklift on a tractor to put it up, to put it on the scale, because that pumpkin's so heavy, it's over a ton.
What do you end up doing with it?
Make a lot of pumpkin pie, give it out to the neighbors, do stuff, you know.
Different process.
Oh yeah, you still can. So in Alaska, you think about in the lower 48, at Christmas time, kids put out cookies for Santa Claus. Well, in Alaska on Halloween, you know, all my kids carve pumpkins, and we would not collect the pumpkin because after Halloween, the moose love pumpkin. Moose will eat all your pumpkins. So, and they would get up the next day to see if the moose came and ate the pumpkin. Oh, not today. And usually within 1 to 3 days, the moose will find the pumpkins and they eat them all. Because in the wintertime, they're basically starving. They love pumpkin. Love it. So we're going to drop the Captain Cook off people, the Hilton people, and then I'll drop you off at the 5th Avenue Road. So, yeah.
Yes.
Do the mooses make a mess?
Oh yeah, but moose poop is like a Tootsie Roll, and it's compact, little, small. So I mean, they have a lot of droppings. They look like Rabbit poop on steroids. That's what most poop looks like.
No, but I meant like regarding the.
Oh, no, they eat everything. They nothing left.
Cause like,
So, no, they don't make a mess on that. No, they love pumpkin.
like by us.
They'll eat every little bit of it. Oh, and the other thing is, moose can get drunk in Anchorage. So we have apple trees here, and the apples will fall off the tree, and once they land on the ground, the apples can ferment. Well, the moose starving, and they eat fermented apples. And moose get drunk. You see them wobbly just like a drunk person. It's like, oh, it's a drunk moose. And drunk, you don't want a drunk, be around a drunk moose. Okay, right downtown, 22 floors is the maximum height of any hotel downtown. And that building at our 1 o'clock there, and 2 blocks this way, 3rd and Gamble, that building was built before 1964. It was the only tall building standing after the big earthquake in 1964, where all the other tall buildings were demolished. But you might ask, well, why is that tall building standing and everybody else was demolished? Because underneath that building and on 3rd and Gamble, underneath it is bedrock. It is not a hotel anymore. It's a senior assisted living home. So the seniors in there were probably around when the earthquake happened, and they know that that building has good bones. So there was bedrock. All the rest of the town, swampy area. And the reason why 22 floors is the maximum height, because if you build it too big, it'll start sinking into the swamp. We'll have a bunch of leaning towers of Pisa. And you guys are staying at Captain Cook. They stole some technology from Japan after the 64 earthquake. They started building, Captain Cook included, their hotels on rollers. So when we have an earthquake, the whole building will move like this. Instead of being stationary, move like this is called a harmonic imbalance where the building can fail. But if it moves like this, it'll keep its structural integrity. So,
Good to know.
yes. Yep. You can say, hey, my tour guide told me that I was built on rollers, and they'll tell you all about it.
Yeah, yesterday when we went to see the Aurora show yesterday.
Yep.
And the lady was like, in the event of an earthquake, please do. And we were like, an earthquake? What?
Yeah.
You know? Like it kind of, I mean, obviously we know there's earthquakes, but it like threw us off. We're like, wait, what? Like, she's like, it won't happen, but in the event, it's that.
Yeah, it happens. We have earthquakes every single day, but you might not be able to feel them. Especially
Can't feel none of them, dude.
Unless it's significant. It used to have to be above a 3.5. Like I said last week, we had a 4.6. Lasted for about 15 seconds. Good little shaker.
It's around the fault line. It's probably what it is.
Okay, now I got you guys back safe and sound. If you could do me a big favor, we are a small little tour company. If you enjoyed yourself, please leave a review. I think all of you guys got your tickets on TripAdvisor, Viator. Leave a review and put my name in the review, Matthew with 2 T's, and just tell people what you saw today, how much you learned. Oh, I almost went too soon. Yeah, I always say the sooner you write the review, the better, because that's when you remember everything fresh.
Will do.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Because your review today will help with bookings in the future. Yeah, good. I had a great time with you guys too. And we got back safe and sound.
One piece.
One piece.
No incidents with bears.
No, no.
And then I
So-
did like seeing that bear in the tree.
Yeah, that was that your highlight? Remember what I told you in the beginning? My tours are educational and entertaining. Hopefully you were educated and you were
When we got both, that's what's great.
All right, I'm gonna get you up first. You're welcome.
We walked this yesterday, remember? Este hotel es donde están los Morales. Ellos están quedando aquí porque el Princess es de aquí. Como te dije.